All right, y'all. Racism, eugenics, and hatred. The truth behind Planned Parenthood founder Margaret Sanger. Let's go. What is good, y'all? It's your girl Queen Berry coming to y'all with yet another reaction of Margaret Sanger, y'all. Now, I appreciate y'all for tuning in, kicking it with your girl. If you're new to my channel, welcome to my channel. If you are just coming back to my channel, welcome back. Shout out to y'all. Thank y'all for the love and support. And if you're new, like your girl is, and just wanting to find out more, just expanding your knowledge and finding out the truth and wanting to know like what is really going on in our world and who are we putting in the office and just so many different things, because there's always something happening each and every day. Welcome. You have come to the right channel. Now look, I did a part 1 and part 2 on Margaret Sanger's on her documentary of the whole, Planned Parenthood, birth control, how it all came about. Y'all were stating, and what I've also watched was she was doing that to be considered as you have to be fit or unfit, you know what I'm saying? And she was really targeting, the black community, more people that were less unfortunate. Okay, and I also found out in the comment section, y'all was stating that she was doing like I want to say, I don't know if I'm saying abonomy or something like that on black women. It's just a lot of mean stuff that was going on to, control population and all of this. So I wanted to dive a little bit more into it, because once I, find out something, I want to research more. So I just decided to go with this video because y'all stated that she, spoke at a lot of the group, and y'all already know who I'm talking about. I don't want to say it, but you know, because like I stated, you can say some stuff, but you can't, it has to be censored, in other words. Okay, so but y'all know. All right, so we about to get up into this video, y'all. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Hey, let's learn, see what you can get out of it.
Birth Control League, which later became Planned Parenthood, Margaret Sanger was no doubt a controversial figure with disturbing views on eugenics, race, and population control. While some argue she even wanted to exterminate the black race, others are trying to erase that part of her past.
The Mike Wallace interview.
In the eyes of some, Margaret Sanger has been a heroine.
I did this one.
In the eyes of others, she's been a destructive force.
In her own words, Sanger pushed for a society that limited births to those she deemed fit to have children.
Well, I think the greatest sin in the world is bringing children into the world that have disease from their parents, that have no chance in the world to be a human being, practically. Delinquents, prisoners, all sorts of things just marked when they're born.
In 1916, Sanger opened the country's first birth control clinic. As a member of the American Eugenics Society, she advocated improving the genetic composition of humans through controlled reproduction of different races and classes. She often wrote about the issue in the journal she founded, called the Birth Control Review. In 1919, writing,
I personally believe in the sterilization of the feeble-minded, the insane, and the syphilitic. The most urgent problem today is how to limit and discourage the over-fertility of the mentally and physically defective.
Many point to a 1923 New York Times interview as proof of Sanger's racist motives, in which she referred to people as weeds, saying,
It means the release and cultivation of the better racial elements in our society, and the gradual suppression, elimination, and eventual extirpation of defective stocks, those human weeds which threaten the blooming of the finest flowers of American civilization.
So we were considered weeds. It's already low enough that you came up with the idea of how you came up to, control population, but then you title us as weeds. Let's get it.
Ludwig, an investigative researcher, has extensively studied Sanger's life and writings.
She talked about the need for race betterment through controlling these weeds, basically undesirable people.
In 1939, after opening another clinic in Harlem, The birth control activist launched the Negro Project, an initiative supported by black leaders, such as civil rights activist W.E.B. Du Bois. Critics claim the program used the pretense of better health and family planning for poor blacks in the South as an attempt to limit the black race.
That's what the plan was. What I was talking about when they would take, like the black women and stuff and do those practices on them. That's the Negro plan. Okay. Yep, that's what it was.
Ludwig says some on the left grapple with Sanger's past and how to interpret her legacy.
They know when she writes about human weeds, they know that it's repulsive. They know it's disgusting. The left will never abandon Margaret Sanger because if they do, she's the foundation of so many of their views.
Sanger once shared her vision for a preferred race at a women's branch of the Ku Klux Klan, writing in her autobiography.
They said it, not me. When I was talking about it earlier and I was like, I don't want to say, the group name. They said it. That's what I was talking about right here. Let's get it. Wow. Wow.
Foundation of so many of their views.
Sanger once shared her vision for a preferred race at a women's branch of the Ku Klux Klan, writing in her autobiography.
Always, to me, any aroused group was a good group.
Despite those views, liberals praise Sanger's work while ignoring her history.
I bet.
I admire Margaret Sanger enormously. Her courage,
I seen this all down in my comment section when I had did the documentary on Margaret Sanger. Y'all was saying that Hillary Clinton, praised her and such and everything that she was doing. Boy, just tie the knots together, y'all. I promise you, boy, finding out the truth be crazy. And you can always link the people that stand for the craziness mess that's going on in this world. It's crazy, yo. Whole time. And running.
Liberals praise Sanger's work while ignoring her history.
I admire Margaret Sanger enormously. Her courage, her tenacity, her vision. I am really in awe of her.
Ryan Baumberger, founder of the Radiance Foundation, says abortion proponents are working to clean up Sanger's past and what she stood for.
They have to reinvent her every time they talk about her in order to justify their celebration of her.
Former Planned Parenthood director Abby Johnson says those inside the abortion industry are trained to overlook Sanger's racist views.
They give you an answer like, well, I mean, yes, Margaret Sanger was a racist, but everybody was a racist back then. You accept it because she is your hero. And she has to be your hero.
It's just so sad to me, that the heroes be labeled as someone like Margaret Sanger, and then you have actual people that, lost their lives on the line of just, doing freedom of speech and speaking and getting threats. It was, somebody sent me an email of a threat letter that was sent to Martin Luther King, and it was just so sad because you can clearly see that his time was coming to like an end. And the only thing he was doing was going around and saying his, saying his freedom of speech or whatever, and it just it's sad. And I'm not just saying him or whatever, but just all the greats that was literally just actually wanting to see a change, and make a change in the world. They're not labeled as heroes. I was watching something a while back, and it was stating, I don't know what it was. It was on, I can't think, but they were talking about like erasing history, some of the history, taking some of the names down, and it just completely wiping it out like it never exists. And it's crazy that this type of history right here can still prolong and go on. And we just supposed to turn the other shoulder. It ticks me. It really does. Let's get it.
You cannot question Planned Parenthood.
In 1997, Stephen Mosher of the Population Research Institute wrote about the push to repackage Margaret Sanger in the Wall Street Journal.
The reason I call it the repackaging of Margaret Sanger is because after the Nazi regime destroyed the legitimacy of eugenics forever.
I was watching Death of the Nation too, or I don't know if it was on Death of the Nation, but it was said that the man they just, I believe, I don't know if that was Hitler, I don't know, but it was said that he had wrote a letter to Margaret Sanger, you know, saying, thanking her like Hillary was doing, pretty much praising her for what she was doing. It's crazy, and all this stuff is connecting within this video that I've already watched and researched. Wow. Y'all go research, now I'm telling you, it'll help you when these videos come up. Let's get into it.
Wrote about the push to repackage Margaret Sanger in the Wall Street Journal.
The reason I call it the repackaging of Margaret Sanger is because after the Nazi regime destroyed the legitimacy of eugenics forever, they then went back and said, oh, she was just an early feminist. She was just an early supporter of family planning. No, she wasn't. Now, she was a supporter of giving IQ tests to people. She was in favor of using those IQ tests to determine who should be sterilized and who should have children.
In a response titled The Demonization of Margaret Sanger, Alexander Sanger, her grandson and president of Planned Parenthood at the time, called Mosher's editorial unfair. In the same piece, Esther Katz, director of NYU's Margaret Sanger Papers Project, claimed evidence revealing Sanger did not rationalize her support for birth control on racist grounds, that she never advocated genocidal policies aimed at racial, ethnic, or religious groups, and that she, in fact, believed access to birth control would benefit, not eliminate minority populations. Dr. Katz turned down our request for an interview, although in this article, the editor as public authority interpreting Margaret Sanger, she wrote, by our current highly sensitized standards, some of her attitudes and statements can be construed as racist, elitist, ethnocentric, and not politically correct. In 1942,
how do you give somebody an IQ telling who's fit and who's not fit? Like, if that's not just evil, and I wonder how many people was unfit. That's just pure evil, boy. Let's go.
Margaret Sanger's American Birth Control League became Planned Parenthood, which has moved to fulfill its founders' goals, helped greatly by the Supreme Court decision in Roe v. Wade.
Under the veil of secrecy and deception, 60+ million babies have not been born because they were aborted legally since '73. 1/3 of that population belong to the African American community.
A frightening and telling number, given blacks make up only 13% of the U.S. population. Dan Gaynor of the Media Research Center says that Sanger's true mission remains alive and well throughout today's abortion industry.
Look at the maps. See where the abortion facilities are. They are near places where people are marginalized, people are poor, people are minority, and that's their target market.
Generation after generation, we have built a better world for our daughters.
Because of allies in the media and academia, Gaynor also points out how speech from conservatives and others about Sanger's past, Planned Parenthood practices, and abortion is often classified as hate speech.
There is nothing as close to a sacrament in the media as abortion. It is a holy writ that abortion is protected. And anybody who comes out against it, any organization, any business, anybody, the media swarm.
So does social media.
Facebook's new oversight board, and this is really concerning, has 4 co-chairs. And they're going to be the appeals board for content. Well, one of the 4 oversight board is on the board of an pro-abortion group. There's no pro-lifers. They're not there.
The problem also exists on many college campuses.
In other words, they want to shut you up. For the ones who really believe that baby lives matter and all that, they want to shut it up. Once again. Ooh, wee. There's going to be a lot of people that have to answer for their actions. I tell you that much. And it just saddens my heart because I get situations do happen, but it saddens my heart because I know a few people that can't have kids and would love to have kids, but they just can't. Not to mention the ones who also really wanted their child but lost the child to like a miscarriage. You know, all those things. It's like it saddens my heart because you really do have people out here that believe that baby lives do matter. And the crazy thing about it, y'all, I went deep to research and like, what do they use when they be, you know, aborting these babies? And these babies are like, now I'm a mother of 3, okay? And I've been through the process of how a life grows within me, okay? At almost 7 weeks, when you go get an ultrasound, that little baby's heartbeat is beating. And they put the little thing on your stomach and you can hear it going doo, 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 just beating. At 7 weeks. It's touchy for me. It really is. And it's touchy just due to my own experience. Of wanting a child and then losing your child, you know, with a miscarriage. That alone will, like, you know, have your mind just like gone. Because you done went to the doctors, you done seen your baby's heartbeat, you're excited, and then you go back to get a checkup. And that heartbeat is no longer beating. So this is touchy. So this is coming from a mother who has experienced wanting a child and losing a child. I'm sorry, y'all. This is just, you know, deep, and this is just me because I know a lot of people are, you know, against it and stuff, but this is me, a mother of 3 and a mother who actually wants her gift. If it wasn't for my kids, I'd still probably be wilding. So yes, this is real touchy to me. And when I was seeing them debate about, you know, and they were stating like, you know, oh, abortion is not really at the top, and, you know, babies, and just trying to just like push that. No, not for me. Not for me. Let's get back into it, y'all.
I remember at Harvard, they laughed when I was talking about the history of eugenics. And they said, you know, that doesn't matter. Planned Parenthood is not like it was during Margaret Sanger's days.
Those who oppose her views say not true and are committed to exposing her past for future generations. Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
Well, keep in mind this is a serious matter. You're trying to revise history to suit a political agenda and suit a political argument. The source of that story, curiously, is a group called NewsGuard, and what they're self-appointed watchdogs of news organizations, and obviously coming from the left. CBN News had published a series of articles on Alveda King and had quoted her accurately, saying that Margaret Sanger thought that black people were human weeds. Well, he came at us for that and saying you can't quote her accurately. You always have to put a disclaimer that there's no evidence that Margaret Sanger ever used the term human weeds. And he, in turn, quoted Esther Katz, who said that she had reviewed all of Margaret Sanger's papers and couldn't find any evidence that she ever used the term human weeds. Well, she knows full well about that New York Times article, and what she was saying is, well, within her papers, it's not there. But within the public record, it is there. And so there's a conscious effort to rewrite history and declare her as some kind of hero that we should all look up to and ignore the root of Planned Parenthood, which is quite clearly eugenics. Now, you go back to the title of that New York Times article, and it says, creating a race of thoroughbreds. So it's selective breeding. That's what this is all about. And within that selective breeding, you have to breed out what you think is undesirable. Well, in today's world, that is morally reprehensible. And you can't change that history. And you shouldn't even try to change that history.
I mean,
I don't understand this, but here at CBN News, we want to set the record straight. Here's what Margaret Sanger really believed.
Oh, I paused that. My bad. Hold on, y'all.
It's interesting because it is very much like Hitler and the move against the Jews.
Well, eugenics was at the core of
Exactly. And we all recognize how reprehensible that was, but because this has political attachments to it for other issues, other things, including this issue. I mean, people just refuse.
Yeah.
Just refuse.
And if you doubt that there's some eugenics behind it, just take your own survey. In my hometown, when you go out and look for the Planned Parenthood, you have to drive to certain neighborhoods to find those clinics. There's a reason that they place them geographically there, so that they're in walking distance. Do that same test in your hometown, and then take a look at,
I ain't got to. I already know what y'all talking about.
Geographically locate these clinics, and then you've got to start asking the question, why?
Well, CBN is launching a new prayer initiative, and part of that prayer is seeing some of this change.
You look at what's going on in America today, and you look at the drive, and it's a just drive for equality in America.
Yes.
And look at this past story. What would America look like today if 20 million African American babies had not been aborted? Well, how far along would we be to racial equality? We've got COVID-19. There are locust swarms. There are hurricanes that are being threatened. Our economy's in shambles. We're so politically divided, we can't even talk to each other. Let me underline that.
And that's sad.
We can't have a conversation. We have to shout at one another. And we have to try to out-shout one another. We need to pray. We need to have God come in and bring peace. So we have a prayer initiative, and we're asking you to join us. All we're asking is, will you stand one time a day and pray for your home, pray for your neighborhood, pray for your nation? You can do that in total isolation. You can stand in a closet in your house. You can stand in your driveway. You can stand on your front porch, your back porch. You can stand in any room you want to.
Wherever.
You can walk your neighborhood and stand there. You pick the place, but we're asking you to commit to pray daily. Pray for unity, pray for America, pray for the world. So, as a 700 Club interactive viewer, you may have already received a mailing inviting you to join with us. And so, all you have to do is mail in your response, or if you didn't get the mailing, call us, 1-800-700-7000, or you can go to our website, cbn.com/standandpray, or you can even text us, pray, text that word pray to 71777. And you'll be community. Well, we've got a wonderful world, a map of America showing all the different states and how many people have registered to pray. And we want to show we're praying. Let's show that we're standing, we're declaring the goodness, the promises of God. We also have a free prayer card for you. You can place on a doorway or a window just to remind you to please pray, please stand and pray. You can also get a daily scripture reading by my father by email.
You better promote.
Come on. And give you some prayer points. So do it. Sign up. Let's pray. God can be an answer, will be the answer. All we have to do is ask. Hello, I'm Gordon Robertson. Thanks for watching.
Okay, y'all, so I take it as it. Oh, y'all, I'm so sorry this is touchy. I opened up to y'all, but this is touchy for me, okay? It really, really is, and it hurts my heart. It does. Because someone said in the comment section, like, they don't have a voice to say anything. And they don't. Just think if they could say something, what would be some of the stuff they would be saying? Probably like, Mommy, it's going to be all right. It's going to be okay. However, y'all, this is touchy and it's been touchy. That's why I just wanted to find out more of, like, you know, like, damn, it's evil. It's just mean. You know, and I put myself out there because it may, you know, like, there is many places that are created for you to, you know, want to go through that process. A lot of more places too, and resources where you can get help. It's just sad that this was built on that. I mean, that's it for me, y'all. I appreciate y'all for tuning in, kicking it with your girl. Until the next reaction, y'all, please do me a favor. Be safe. Remain safe. Make sure y'all vote, okay? Please vote. Your girl is out.